First Zoom Dharma talk, and I'm so happy to see everybody. I'm looking up to the right of my screen, and I see all the little squares with all our Dharma brothers. There's Nancy all the way up in Maine. Hello, Nancy. Hello, Diane. Congratulations on Kilche. It's so wonderful to see you all. Thanks for coming. So first, before we take questions, I wanted to acknowledge Mark's work in the prison program. I think most of us know that Mark's been, volunteering for like 10 years and has helped many of our Sangha members go to the prisons. And recently he was telling me that he may want to take a rest from it and semi-retire or just kind of take a break. And so I said, okay, why don't you write me up a list of what you've done, Mark, and how many programs you have, and then we'll see if we can get some replacements for you. And he sent me this mind-boggling list of like 10 or 15 different programs, and that's been going on for 10 years. That's just absolutely Bodhisattva action. So Mark, I just want to thank you for all the teaching that you've done, and all of our Sangha who have gone with you. And I did some work in the prisons myself years ago, and it's really rewarding. And thank you so much for doing it for so long. So if anybody wants to help him out, once this COVID-19 thing passes and we get back out on the streets, I'm sure he could appreciate the help. So let him know. And that was a really good talk too. I think that we can all learn a lot about the blame part. I know that speaks to me certainly, and this whole thing about what can I do is very much a part of our teaching, or how can I help, and it's very empowering. So thank you for that, Mark. And with that, I would like to now open it up for questions. Any kind of question that you have on your mind, please feel free. No question is a stupid question. Your question may help the person sitting next to you, so please don't be shy. And I'll probably try to go up and see if I can see who's asking. Or Bomi, how is this going to work? You're going to tell me the question?
Yes, there's a question from Chongan. I'm just trying to find him. And I just...
That's me.
That's you. I unmuted you. Exactly.
Hi.
There you are.
Chang Kwang, that was my name.
Chang
I got
Kwang.
in 1996. I was in this Cambridge Zen Center in the 90s. I don't know if you remember the Buddha Buddies guy. But
Buddha Buddies, yes, I do.
Buddha Buddies, yes.
How are
I
you?
moved to DC, and it's like all Christian churches, so I found other paths. But sitting by myself in hotel, I'm a flight attendant, in hotels by myself does not give the same amount of what I get at the Zen Center. It's like,
Yeah.
But my question is, I'm having a very hard time as a flight attendant. My whole career is destroyed. I'm not able to stay in the present. I'm really fearing, I keep going back to fearing the future, and then I get so rattled, and it's just like back and forth. It's more of a roller coaster. And how do I get a new career at 57? Should I just sit and not be attached to that forensic mind, and then let the universe come to me and guide me in a new direction?
Yeah. It's a really good question. And, so many people now, we're all kind of struggling with different aspects of heightened fears, heightened emotions, challenges with unemployment, fear of sickness. The Buddha really boiled it down when he said, there's these 4 things that when he left the palace, he noticed, birth, sickness, old age, and death, right? And before he left the palace, he had been shielded from those 4 things. And when he saw those 4 things, he realized that suffering was inherent in our life. And so he set about on his path, and the Dharma was born, or his version of the Dharma was born, and is helping us. So in a way, this situation that we're in is not really different from what we're always faced with. We're always faced with these things that our outside situation is always changing, changing, changing. And what we want to do as human beings, and it's our nature, is to hold on and not have things change. And when we do that, that's when we suffer. So where the practice comes in, and where I found it to be most, useful and constructive, is, as Mark was saying, coming back to this present moment, where the way he put it, what can I do? Another way you can put it is, what is this, right? So when you're feeling anything, whether it's fear of change, fear of, job loss, fear of getting sick, or fear of losing someone who could be getting sick, we come back to, what can I do? As Mark was saying, and that is return to what is true, right? The future's not here. The past is gone. All we have is this one thing, which is true, which is, what are you doing now? Then just do it. And it's the single most empowering teaching and tool that I've ever come across in my life. And it levels illusion. It brings you back into what is true. So I remember you from Buddha Buddy days, and you already know this. You lived in the Zen Center, you practiced this. And so, what we do as all of our little people in the squares of Buddha Buddies, what we're here for is just to keep reminding each other, because sometimes we forget, sometimes we get stuck in whatever emotion or mind state that we're in, and we have one another to remind us, and we have the teaching to remind us and say, what are you doing now? And we're like, oh, right. What am I doing now? Just sitting here talking to you. And when you keep this mind, over and over and over, and return to it as much as possible, somehow or another, things have a way of working out. I don't know how that works, but they do. Somehow or another, your mind becomes clear, your choices become clear, your direction becomes clear, and then life becomes clear. So we say, if this moment is clear, your life is clear. And then anything that comes, you'll be clear enough to perceive that and go with it, right? But if we get trapped in the what if scenarios, then we get stuck and we get frozen, and things don't work out. So I'm just reminding you, and I know the day will come when you'll remind me, and that's what we're here doing together. What are you doing now?
Yep. Very good. And then luckily I quit drinking alcohol back in 95. So I'm not going to say, what can I do now? And then just take a drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good to see you. Good
Nice to see you too. This is Zoom. That's the good thing.
That is
Bad
a good
situation, good situation.
Where
I've been wanting to.
What city are you in?
I'm in Washington, Virginia, Reston, Virginia.
Oh, see?
So it's like,
Pretty cool.
yay. Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Thank you.
More questions?
I actually have a question.
Okay.
Could you tell us a little bit ways in which you feel like this situation, this lockdown has affected you personally, but also like the way in which it had, where you correlate things with your practice and your experiences as Zen master? I'm just really curious to hear, how do people with like lots of practice experience navigate actually this rather challenging situation? So yeah.
Yeah, it's really kind of funny. I've been thinking a lot about this, and it's all about how our perspective is, how we keep a perspective. And as you know, and many people here in this room, in this virtual room tonight, we've all done a lot of retreats, right? Back to that previous question that Noah asked about negative and positive. So on a retreat, we're sort of depriving ourselves of a lot of activities. We deprive ourselves of going out and, being with friends and talking and doing all the stuff that we do. And we're really depriving ourselves to just sit down on that cushion and breathe in, breathe out. And we do that by choice so we can see what's going on. And it's interesting, I find that when we move, and I mean literally physically move, all of that is usually driven by moving away from the moment or away from pain, away from discomfort and towards pleasure. So even the slightest movements that we make all day long are like that, right? We're always kind of coming out of the moment. And this particular situation, I'm sure all of us have moments where we're really lonely, maybe we're sitting in our house all alone and we feel very isolated, or we're with a family and everyone's tearing their hair out and you wish you were alone, and everything in between, right? And there are the challenges of trying to work in this environment and to be cooped up in a small space with people and everything. But I find that that retreat experience and the Zen experience has helped me so much. And I think about all the times that I wish I had more time, and I wish life wasn't so fast, and I wish we didn't have to rush around. And, you know, now we have, in a way, this, you know, it's not a gift in that so many people are suffering and getting sick and dying, and all these people are under so much stress and hardship and losing jobs and everything. But this bad situation is a really good situation because it forces us back to this retreat mind. It forces us back into our Zen practice, into becoming really, really simple. And when we find ourselves like a horse kicking the stall, we want to get out, then we realize, as Mark said in his talk, that's something we make. And he used the analogy of the solitary confinement, which was, you know, literal. But many of us are in some sort of solitary confinement right now. I mean, we can go out for walks and stuff, but where it's coming from is up here, where you make, you get, you know, that famous calligraphy that we have one of those in the Zen Center, self-make, self-get. So I find that the practice really comes in handy to when I find myself like a horse kicking the stall, I take that deep breath and back to, what can I do? Or the way I like to ask the question is, what is this? What is this? Only don't know. And, you know, more practice necessary at a time like this is for sure. More bowing, more sitting, a lot of walking meditation. It's been really nice to just go out and just do quiet walks outside and appreciate the little things that I think in our busy, busy lives we lose sight of, you know. So we've been able to drop off a lot of those things, and now we can return to retreating at home and recognizing, you know, how we make everything in our mind, how we're moving away from the moment all the time, and how to return back to it. So it's been, for me, in many ways, a great gift. It's a gift if it's how you look at it.
Thank you.
And I think about all of you guys in the Zen Center there. I see you in the Dharma room. and how is it there? I want to ask you, because you're all in this, you know, community, but keeping separate. So tell us a little bit, Bomi, how that is at the Zen Center.
I actually spend a lot of time alone in my apartment. I only come over here to cook once a week and to chant, to stream this chanting, you know, to do that on Thursday nights. But overall, I find it is, I mean, I miss people. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, this is what I realized, like, it's really hard actually to motivate myself. And this is what you realize. It's a little bit like dark matter and positive matter, you know, that positive matter or whatever, the real matter only works because there's dark matter. And in some ways, like being in the community and having actually people around who are not like actively in your life, but still they're there, really energizes actually one's life. And now that has fallen away, I think, you know, it's just like, it's just like, I'm doing the things, but it's just so much harder to motivate myself. And whenever something like some sort of structure is, you know, I mean, I think it's like clinging to a little bit desperately to like the last structure that there is, you know. So And it is lovely to see my housemates like from far away, you know. I mean, we do pass like you know, in the house, like, you know, and saying hi, and so that is, you know, but it's definitely a very, very unusual, somewhat surreal situation.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think about you guys every day and just wonder what it must be like to have all of you in separate rooms in the same building like that. It's a first. Yeah. Well, maybe we can use the Zoom more now that we're learning about it. Maybe we could do more with it, you know, to be together.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So my question is, much like you said earlier, Jane, there's a lot of joy that comes from the current situation. Everyone recognizes that there's a lot of suffering externally, but I find in my personal experience that I'm much more joyful. As maybe it's a life better suited to an introvert. Maybe it's because the external anxieties presented by the world are not as present when you're just inside every day. And it's a very strange experience because this lifestyle is presented in the media and as being sort of something to endure, and a lot of people are suffering. My concern is more about going back to the everyday life and almost a fear of returning.
Yeah.
I wonder if you have any response to that.
Yeah. Good to see you. I don't know if can you hear me? You can hear me? Okay. Good to see you, Juliana. Yeah, we're talking a lot about Zen Master Sung San tonight, and as usual. And he used to say something that was so interesting. He used to talk about human beings as the number one bad animal. And that was like, I think he said that in just about every talk he ever gave. And he used to say, you know, human beings die, then all the other animals very happy. And it's interesting, you see the sky being blue and the waters clearing and the smog lifting and all these things, these benefits that have come from this particular slowdown that we're in. And I think it is a really good lesson. We can take back when things open up again what we've learned. You know, we can have that consciousness about how to help our planet, how to keep our planet clean, how to save the Mother Earth and the air and the water, and how to live more simply. I find trips to the grocery store to be the biggest adventure of the entire week, right? I bet you all do too. And then, you know, the way you connect with the person, everybody's so helpful and trying to be nice to each other and thanking each other. And there's so much more patience about how long everything takes and maybe waiting longer in line. And it's kind of like it's a really stimulating and fun experience just to go to the shop and get a few oranges or something. And so, yeah, I think, Juliana, you're right. We can take back when things get fast again and when we're rushing around again. Hopefully we'll remember the lessons that we learn about our independence, about our interdependence, not only with human to human, but all beings and this great planet that we inhabit. It's so, so nice to see it healing and to hear the birds and to see the waters being clean and things like that. It makes me think about how important it is. So I hope that that we can. It's like when you leave a retreat, you don't want to go, and you vow that last day of the retreat, whether it's a 2-day retreat or a 90-day retreat, you vow, like, I will never lose this mind. And of course we do, right? We get caught up, we get in a hurry. And that's why we have each other in the Sangha and our everyday practice to keep remembering what's most important, which is find my true self, get clear, and save all beings from suffering. So I hope we can all do that. Only go straight, don't know. Try for 10,000 years and help this world. Thank you very much.